Hi, Lisa. Thanks for coming to the this midterm evaluation. A couple of days ago, I asked you to fill out your own self-evaluation. Did you do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did it last night.
All right. Well, one of the things I also tried to allude to or ask you is if you could bring that in early so I could take a look at it before we had this meeting.
I guess you said you wanted to look at it. I didn't think you meant like beforehand. I thought you just wanted me to use it to sort of think about my own performance and such. That's how I guess that's because that's how I've done it in the past. I didn't really. Sorry, I didn't bring it with me.
Okay. Well, I tend to like to look at it ahead of time, and then I can compare between what I've written and what you've written and see if there's any real discrepancies. So, based on that, I'll kind of just go off of what I wrote and talk to you about what I'm thinking. First of all, I think from an evaluation standpoint, treatment planning standpoint, for the neuro setting, you're right where you should be at this midterm evaluation. There are some things though that I want to talk to you about that I'm a little bit concerned with, and that has to deal mostly with sort of your communication style. The first one is with patients. I think you can explain your treatments and that kind of thing pretty well, but sometimes when you're talking to patients, you're talking about the neuro setting and that this isn't your favorite place and things like that. And I wanted you to reflect on that and tell me what you think about how that type of conversation affects your patients.
Well, in general, I think I'm just kind of chit-chatting with my patients. I'm mostly focused on sort of building rapport, and I actually think, some of the patients who've asked me about myself and my background are the patients I feel like I'm doing well with in kind of establishing, a better, relationship with them. The ones I'm struggling with are the ones that, I feel like I can't talk to. So I guess I don't know that I really think of it that way. They just ask questions and I've answered them honestly and wanting to make conversations so that they feel more comfortable as we're doing the exercises and things like that. I don't really think of it as, I don't want to offend anybody, but, I just sort of have answered the questions honestly.
And I would agree, and I would say that building rapport is critical to providing a quality care and getting your patients to really buy into what it is that you're trying to educate them to do. But I think there's a line there, and I think there's a line that you're sort of crossing at this point, where you're really, you're talking about, for example, Mr. Smith asked you about, your background, what your expectations are for your career, and you talked about how you're going to be an orthopedic therapist and that you really don't like the neurological side of things, and yet here you are in a neurological setting, and Mr. Smith has had a stroke, and you are communicating that maybe lack of enthusiasm for that type of therapy, and I think that may really weigh heavily on his perception of your, commitment to his care. So.
Yeah. I guess I can see that. I didn't, I didn't think of it that way because he was just asking me questions and he already kind of knows I'm a student, obviously, so I just didn't think of it that way, but I can see that.
Okay. So it's something that, I think from a communication standpoint, it would be really important for the next few weeks for you to work on trying to still establish that rapport, but do it in a format that doesn't bring a negative aspect to your care. Now, let's translate that over into your dealings with your colleagues. The other day, tell me how you think you're doing with case reporting and case management with your colleagues.
I feel pretty good. I've been working hard to make sure I'm prepared and I have all the information, and those conferences are kind of fast paced and everybody sometimes people, it's your turn and they're not listening, and it can get kind of frustrating, but overall, I think I'm working through, making sure I have all my information up to date, knowing, what I think the discharge plan is. I think, I've been pretty accurate on my reporting, which is, what I'm most nervous about is that I get that report right, and I don't want to misstep on, what my recommendations are and things. So I think I'm doing pretty well with that.
So again, I would say you're right. You're trying to be very accurate with your reporting, but at the same time, I don't think you're necessarily communicating effectively with your other team members. So at times they may say something that is contradictory to what you believe the patient's doing, instead of, well, I don't want to lead you to the answer, but you're sort of coming right back at them and saying that they're wrong. And you used the word the other day, no, you know, Tammy, you're incorrect. The patient is actually transferring with monocysts.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you think that makes Tammy feel?
Well, I think it felt like she was frustrated. You know, I guess I kind of did it abruptly, and I didn't mean to, but, you know, I don't, you know, it's frustrating because, you know, I'm the therapist and I've seen him transfer in all these different areas, and she's just talking about when she stands him up from the bed, which is really high, and it just, you know, it's inaccurate. But I guess, you know.
So is there a better way to approach that?
I mean, I'm sure there is, it's, you know, I just, you know, go with what I know, you know what I mean? I've just been trying to kind of focus on making sure that the correct information is given in the report.
So in this environment, more than any other environment, it's critical that with other professionals, that we work as a team and we really work together. It doesn't mean that we're always going to say and believe the exact same thing about a patient. There are plenty of times where I'm going to disagree maybe with another team member about a particular patient's performance, but it may be conditional based on time, the environment, those kind of things. So I have to develop a rapport with that colleague, and so that we can talk about those differences and share those differences. We can't just blurt out negative aspects, because that's going to build, you know, some defensiveness with my colleagues, and then they're not going to share openly with me about what their perceptions of that patient are, and that's critical for me to do my job. So I think overall we need you to really work on trying to communicate, but not attack with that communication style.
Okay. I can do that.
Okay.